1:05. We are welcome once again to the making of the Wholesome Child Summit. I'm so glad to have you here. While we are still expecting more people to join us, we can start off now. Thank you so much once again for joining. Thank you for joining. And I want to say you're welcome. You're welcome once again. I want to share my screen. And I hope that we are going to be having an awesome time. We are going to be learning about ourselves. We are going to be learning about our children throughout the summit today. And we are going to be having an awesome time. So you're welcome once again. I just decided to delay a little so that more people will join and then we can kick off. Okay. You can't see my screen, but I'm trying to share the screen for the program. I'm not sure. If anybody can see the screen, just can you please let me know because I can't see it from here. Please, if anyone can see the screen that I'm trying to share, please let me know. Oh, you can see it?
Yes, we can see, ma'am.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm trying to see. So that I can I'm able to control it from here. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining the program. And I'm also trying to remind other people to join in. So it is the making of the Wholesome Child Summit 2026. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm excited to see you all. I'm excited to have you all here. And I hope that you're going to be having an awesome time. I'm not able to share my screen, sorry. All right. So before we start, everything starts with prayer. We like to start with prayer. So I'll be taking a short word of prayer just to launch us into the summit. So let's say a short word of prayer together. Father, we thank you, Lord, for today. Thank you, Lord, for the grace. Thank you, Lord, for the long-awaited summit, the making of the Wholesome Child. Thank you for the grace that we have to be mothers, to be able to raise children. Thank you, Lord, for the lives that you have committed unto us. And thank you, Lord, for the things that we are going to be learning throughout the course of this summit. We open up the summit in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. We pray that everything we do here will be to the glory of your name. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, everybody, once again for joining. So this is the making of the Wholesome Child Summit. And I want to say, you're welcome once again. It's going to be an awesome time. This summit has been something that has been ongoing for about. This is the third edition, and over time we have been reaching out to mothers, specifically talking about our experiences, reaching out to mothers, talking about our experiences in the care of our children, and that is what the making of the Wholesome Child is about. This year is set to be an amazing time. We have different speakers that will be coming in the course of the 3 days that we are going to be meeting together, and then we try to plan the program in such a way that it's going to be meeting every aspect of our life and of our child raising life too. Today we are going to be looking at our own care, starting with mother. From there, because we used to say it all the time, there's a saying that goes that we cannot pour from an empty cup. So you have to look into yourself. So we planned it such that you are going to start with you as the mom, and then we go into the care of the children before we go into talking about the care of the children, of our children that God has committed unto our hands. That's what we are going to be doing today. We are going to be having 2 sessions today, okay? And then tomorrow we are going to be having panel discussions around emotional health, around childhood trauma, infant trauma, and how we can help raise our children without passing trauma to them. Then we're also going to be touching on children with developmental delays. We are going to be talking about children with developmental delays. We are going to be also touching on that. And then finally, we are going to be, because we used to have this belief in the making of the wholesome child, that what makes a wholesome child is the physical health, emotional health, mental health, social health, and also the spiritual health. So on the final day, we are going to be looking at the spiritual health of our children. So this is what the making of the awesome child is about. We do not leave any aspect of a child's life out. We touch every basis of a child's life because we believe that all those things are what makes up a child to grow up into an awesome adult. So I want you to make sure that every day of the program, the 3 days, you're here to receive, to learn, to share ideas together, and pick something that you're going to be implementing in your life and in the course of raising your children. Thank you so much once again for joining. If you have your friends in your circle that are not yet here, you can please remind them. I'm trying to send reminder. And I don't know what took over my slide now. What took over my slide? I was not able to share the slide. Oh no. I'm not. I'm trying to I'm trying to take over my slide, but I'm looking for it, but I'm not seeing it. So you're welcome. Once again, you're welcome. I don't want to delay us, but I'm trying to figure that out. I think I'm going to stop. Okay, thank you once again, everyone. Yes. So, by way of introduction, I'd like to introduce myself for those that maybe are joining for the first time. My name is Titi Lokwe Idris. I am a children's nurse by profession, and I am the convener of the summit called the Making of the Wholesome Child. Okay, so also I am the founder of the Wholesome Mum community, and in I'm going to be talking about a little about the community just as a way of introduction. It's a community of women mothers where we hold each other's hands, mothers of different ranges, new moms especially. We talk about how to raise children. We talk about different issues, developmental issues, physical health, because I've learned that as a nurse, physical health alone is not what makes up a child. So we talk about different range of child raising in that community. So that is what we do. That is who I am. And I want us in the chat box, I want us to kind of introduce ourselves. I want us to know who I want us to meet ourselves. Where are you joining from? We want to meet you. I know we have people from different parts of the world, different parts of different regions that have gathered here. So please let us meet you. You can just drop your name and where you're joining from. We want to meet you. We want to know you. So please, you can drop your name in the comment section. I want to see those that are here. Let us drop our names. Let us see ourselves. Let us meet ourselves, even in the course of the meeting. All right. So while we are doing that, I'm just going to go through a brief housekeeping, you know, just to help us to understand why we are here, okay, and how to the rules to follow why we are here. It's not really rules like that. It's just something to help us to stay together. Okay, so just something to help us to enjoy ourselves together. All right. So feel free to engage in the chat. We would love to hear your thoughts and reflection as we are talking. Please feel free to engage. Let us know that you're picking something. If you have any aha moment, any moment that touches you, just feel free to ask questions and engage in the chat session. All right. So Questions can be dropped in the chat session, so we are going to be looking at the chat session to get your questions. Please, when we are communicating with each other, let's be respectful of differing opinions. Let's respect each other's opinions and experiences that will be shared in the course of the summit. Let's also have your notes. If you want to take notes, there are so many things that I believe that are going to be taken out of this session today. So please have your notes ready. Make important notes, things that touch you, things that resonate with you. Make sure that you put them down, things that you're going to be implementing. Okay. So if you experience any technical issue or difficulty, please send us a message. Send a message to the support team, or you can indicate in the chat box. And most importantly, let us relax. Let us learn. Let us enjoy the experience. I believe that it's going to be an awesome experience. It's going to be an insightful experience today. All right. We are delighted. I'm so happy. I'm so glad that you're here. I want to say thank you. And I want you to welcome yourself and say welcome, 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 welcome. All right. I'm not going to be talking much on why we are here. I know we are here because we want to deliberate together. We want to look at what the making of the Wholesome Child is about. We've come here because of our children. So I'm going to just go quickly into introducing our guests because of the time. I don't want to delay us too much. All right, so meet our speaker. I'm going to read a brief bio about her. Debbie Echo is our first speaker of today. She's a transformational coach and author and founder of the Your Discovery Coach. Her platform is a platform that is dedicated to helping women, especially stay-at-home mom and midlife moms, rediscover their destiny, rebuild confidence, and rise into their purpose and power. So our story is that after feeling invisible and stuck in the background of life, she experienced a personal awakening that led her to reclaim her voice, redefine her worth, and walk boldly into our next chapter. Now she passionately empowers other women to do the same through coaching, through storytelling, speaking, and our signature program, the Rediscovery Journey. Our work focuses on mindset transformation, self-identity, renewal, and intentional living for women in their second half. Whether on stage or on one-on-one session, Debbie speaks with authenticity, compassion, and clarity, reminding women that it's never too late to become who they are always meant to be. Our tagline is "Hey Mamas, let's start living," and it has become a rallying cry for women ready to stop merely surviving and start living. So let us welcome our amazing guest, our first guest speaker for today, Debbie Echo. She'll be speaking to us on motherhood without losing yourself. Like I said, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to find yourself before you can raise an wholesome child. You need to be wholesome yourself. So she's going to be speaking with us on the process of motherhood without losing yourself. Join me to welcome her in the comment section. Please, I want you to give her a warm, an amazing, a firing welcome because I believe that it's going to be an amazing time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. Thank you. Yeah, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on today's in this summit, and thank you for honoring me for as being the first speaker. I don't take it for granted. So I know that I'm setting a trajectory or I'm setting the pace for the program. So thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. As she said, my name is Debbie and I'm Debbie Echo. I'm the founder of Your Discovery Coach. And I will be talking about motherhood without losing yourself. Raising children while remaining the woman God created you to be. There was a woman God created you to be before you became a mom. There was a woman God created you. The Bible says that before you were formed in your mother's womb, He knew you. So there was someone He decided that you're going to be. There was something He decided you were going to be. There was something in God's mind before He brought you into the world. Motherhood should not erase that. Having children should not erase that. And we're going to be seeing why this is very important and why this topic is very passionate for me, because I've seen from my own story and from people around me, I've seen women who lived for their children, aka my mother. And then when you do something, she starts to scream at you after all I've done for you. And then she starts to get very upset and very annoyed that she paused her life for you. And I always wonder, having children was a choice. and I shouldn't be the reason you feel so bitter about life. I shouldn't be the reason, that's literally she would say things like, I am God to you. And I'm like, didn't sound right growing up. And obviously as an adult and understanding what I understand now, it also doesn't feel right just, listening to that. So there was someone God created had to be. There was someone God created each and every mom in this platform to be. And it's very unfortunate that even as much as it may be in the background of our heads, that we were born for much more. We were born for, we're born for much more. We are created for what much more. It also feels like we slowly lose ourselves, even though this is the background, even though I used to say things like, some moms are constantly waiting for the kids to go into nursery, waiting for the kids to go into school, waiting for the kids to go into university, waiting for the kids. You're not able to take a risk. You're not able to take action just because I need to be there for my kids. Is there anything wrong with being there for your kids? No. But then I also understood that we can use kids as an excuse to stall our lives. And the painful part, I know so many. In fact, I was in a counseling session with a lady, and she's 63, by the way. And at the time I was counseling her, I was 44. And now, so that was a couple of years ago. And then I said to her, she said to me, she was like, don't I feel so dissatisfied with my life. She wasn't a stay-at-home mom, so I'm not just talking to people. I don't necessarily talk to people who are just stay-at-home moms. She said to me, she was like, I've worked for 35 years. I've given my life for the kids. I've given my life for everyone. But I'm 63 and I can't find any fulfillment in me. When I go and meet my kids, they tell me things like, Mommy, can you give us space? And these are the kids that I have labored for. And she started crying on the platform. And I said to her that maybe you should be counseling me. And then she turned the counseling session into counseling me. And she said, Debbie, whatever you do, make sure you build something for yourself. And that message has stayed with me so closely. Not because I want to be selfish against my children, but I want to beg every mom that is listening to me on this platform, build yourself as you build your children. Because at the end of the day, they also were born. Before they were formed in your womb, they also were known by God and were given their own destiny, just the same way you were given yours. So it's going to be a double tragedy if you cannot fulfill your own calling, if you cannot fulfill that which you were born for. The honest truth is that it comes across as, it doesn't matter, I was doing everything I could for my kids. But ask any woman who is presently in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who do not feel that they have lived life to the fullness. There's a certain sense of bitterness. There's a certain sense of regret. They're constantly talking about the past. They're constantly remembering children when they were babies. They're constantly remembering every other thing. They were there for everybody, but they never, ever built themselves. So before I go on, I would do a bit of definitions and we will see why you shouldn't lose yourself just because you're a mom. Forgive me, the pollen here is affecting me, so my throat is a bit scratchy. Yeah, thank you. So what is motherhood? Motherhood is far from, far more than giving birth. It's far more than changing diapers. It's far more than managing schedules. It's far more than keeping a home running. It's far more than that. That's basic. Even a man can do it, apart from the giving birth part. Please apologize. I am not of that school of thought. But it's far more than just giving birth and changing diapers, managing schedules, and keeping a household running. Motherhood is a God-given stewardship of life. It is your sacred responsibility of nurturing, guiding, protecting, discipling, and releasing another human being into God's purposes. So you can see that it's beyond just what we have said. Motherhood is not just merely something you do. Motherhood is a role you carry. It is not your entire identity. I'm sure some of you will want to fight me for that. Motherhood is not your entire. I remember when my older sister, Had started having kids. We used to call her her name. Oh. Then she got married and she said we should not call her name. I said, okay, she married a Yoruba man, which is fine. I don't have anything with, it's just like my own family culture. We're not used to sister and brother. So when she married, she was like, oh, you can't call me my name again. So we should put sister. We put sister. Then she started having children and she said we can't even call her sister her name. We should call her mama, whatever her children's name were. And I used to laugh because in as much as it sounds funny, but a lot of women pride in being called Mama Chloe or Mama Zoe, Mommy Zoe. There's a pride that comes because in their own mind, motherhood is the full identity. And I remember working in a space in Lagos, and I was one of the only unmarried girls there who didn't have kids. There was a certain kind of exclusion that happened in the circle just because you don't have kids. And I'm like, okay, motherhood becomes, especially in Nigerian culture, it feels like motherhood is such a heavy identity that you wear it with a cloak of pride. I am Mommy Zoe. I don't have a name anymore. In here, I'm in England. Here in England, we tease ourselves. We say it's just a tease. But how I've saved all my children's friends' phone number is the child's name, just because it's easier for me to remember the child, so I know why the name is on my phone. But we tease ourselves. But behind this tease, actually, for a lot of moms, motherhood has become the entire identity of who they are. See, I want to tell you something. You were a daughter of God before you became a mother. And you remain a woman with gifts, dreams, purpose, personality, and calling, even after becoming a mother. I jokingly tell my kids, I say, see, once a year, make peace with it. I am going away for a retreat. Stay with your dad. He will take care of you. And if need be, I get a babysitter for you guys. Because I'm not of that school of thought that I cannot take a break because I have children. I tell my kids, 8 o'clock is I've done everything I can do, but 8 o'clock is my closing time. Motherhood closes at 8 o'clock. I need to have debit time and I need to sleep and I need to have my me time. I am not manipulated by your need for me to be around you all the time. But when I'm around you, I give you my full presence. When I'm around you, I give you what you need as. But I also need to recharge because beyond being a mom, I have an identity. I have a name. My name is not Mommy Chloe. My name is Deborah. I have a name. And it's important for you to hear me and hear me well, because it will be a struggle for you to take a break. It will be a struggle for you to say no to, children are inherently selfish. It will be a tragedy if you cannot teach your children independence so that they don't need you for everything. It actually is a sense of I am needed. There's something about being needed that makes you important. But beyond being needed, are you not important by yourself, for yourself, with yourself? Ask yourself that question. Because your children constantly need you does not mean that you're important. But the day they figure out all those things by themselves without you, you will not end up, I'm saying it carefully, you will not end up like that 63-year-old woman who feels cheated in life because she gave everything according to her and there's no reciprocation. So before you start to kill yourself over those children, remember you were a daughter of God before you became a mother. You are a daughter of God. You were born with your own identity. You were born with your own purpose. You were born to fulfill something beyond giving birth to children. So motherhood is just one of your expressions. It's one of the expressions of who you are. It was never designed to become the totality of who you are. At the end of the day, these children will leave. If you are like anything like me, I've even left the full country for her. And it's not like I'm saying it with pride, but honestly speaking, I have to follow, my own path, right? I have to follow my own path. Motherhood is a calling, not an identity replacement. Let me say that one again. Motherhood is a calling. It is not an identity replacement. So what are the purposes of motherhood? One of the purposes of motherhood is to reflect God's nature. God introduces himself throughout scripture using parental imagery. A mother's nurture, protection, compassion, comfort, patience, and guidance reveal aspects of God's character. So in motherhood, you are expressing God's character to your children. Motherhood gives us a glimpse into the heart of God. Another purpose of motherhood is to raise image bearers. Children do not belong to us. Children do not belong to us. They belong to God. Psalm 127 says that children are a heritage from the Lord. Our role is not ownership. Our role is stewardship. We are raising future adults, future leaders, future spouses, future parents, and future disciples. Another purpose of motherhood is to shape the next generation. Mothers are civilization builders. Nations rise and fall based on what happens inside homes. Every value taught, every conversation held, every wound healed, every character trait modeled, all become seeds in future generations. Another purpose of motherhood is to participate in God's redemptive work. Motherhood is one of the ways God transforms both the child and the parent. If anyone is here listening to me and you know that before you had children, you were so patient. If when they push you in the office, you say, I'm okay, it's okay, yeah, you're right, I'm fine. Then you now had children. Small thing, you just realize that patience was a farce. It was a lie, big lie. You start to realize that there are certain things that because you have children, you're like, I didn't know I had this problem. Motherhood is one of God's way to transform both you as a parent, because half of the things that you struggle with in your being a mom is unsolved issues, unsolved traumas, unsolved emotional irregulation, unsolved things in your life that were not necessarily shaken because you had no one close enough to shake that boat, to rock that boat. So it transforms both you as a parent, and that's why my mentor Coach Wendy will also always say, if you're a parent and nothing changes about you, you're not doing parenting right. You're not doing parenting right if you cannot change because you had those kids. So motherhood is one of God's way to redeem us. Children are not only raised by us. God often uses children to also raise us. You're not just raising children, you're raising yourself. Remember remember how your children mimic your voice, mimic your mannerisms, mimic your habits, mimic your stubbornness, mimic you. And then you're realizing that, if you're going to be very sincere with yourself, you will know that you need to change. It's not the child that needs to change, because the child is only doing what is being modeled, not what is being spoken. So you're going to find out that you have a lot of work to do as a parent if you're parenting right. They expose our impatience, they expose our fears, they expose our wounds, our selfishness, our strengths, and our capacity for love. Yes, these are the things that, being a mom does for you. So what is God's design for motherhood? God's design was never exhaustion as a lifestyle, competing who slept less and who didn't sleep more, who has it harder and who has it not harder. Oh, my 3-year-old is not sleeping. Are you serious? Even my 6-year-old is still not started sleeping. We're now doing competition for who is more exhausted, who has the most stubborn child, who has the one that is not listening, who has the one that doesn't hear what. There's a competition. No. God's design was never exhaustion as a lifestyle. When you're burning out as a mom, you're doing something wrong. It was not God's design. The Bible says in the beginning that when God created everything, he saw all things and it was good. God, in that good that he saw motherhood and it was good. So when you are constantly weighed down and burdened by being a mom, you have not entered into the good that God said motherhood was. I'm saying this very carefully because God said it was good, and we believe God's word is real. So when you are struggling, there's something fundamentally wrong that is causing that struggle. Motherhood was never designed for self-erasure. That she became a mother does not mean that Deborah does not exist anymore. And then I become mommy Chloe. No, I still exist. I still am. I am still, I'm there. I even have my own mother. So you can all, you know what I'm trying to say, but I won't say it. Right. It is not designed for constant resentment. You're constantly resenting your husband. You say that he's pursuing his career, he's doing this. It's not for constant resentment. It's not for emotional depletion. It's not for living only for everyone else. You forget about yourself and you live for everyone else. That wasn't God's design. God's design is seen in creation itself. Before Eve became a mother, she was first a daughter of God, a partner, a steward, and a woman with purpose. So you can see that before she became a mom, she was who she was. She wasn't just mom. What was that her son's name again? Mommy. So no, she was Eve. In fact, there was never anywhere that they just called anybody, any mom in the Bible, mommy Abimelech, or mommy something. No. There was nowhere. They all had their names. Sarah had her name. Eve had her name. They all had their names. Even as many wives as David had, all of them had their names. So why are you erasing yourself? What's the self-erasure for? Motherhood was just added to her life. It was not meant to consume her life. God's design includes fruitfulness, not merely producing children, but merely producing children, but producing life wherever you go. So it's not just about children. What kind of life do your children? I mean, what kind of life are you birthing? Are you just giving birth to children, or are you producing life wherever they are? The Bible says that He has come that we may have life and have it in abundance. Are you producing that abundance of life even in the lives of your children, or are you constantly depleted? That was not the design of God. Motherhood was designed by God to provide partnership. Parenting was designed for continuity and family support. It's God's design to keep the earth running. Stewardship. Children are entrusted to us for a season. While I agree that parents, have, stewardship over their children as long as they are alive, but there's a season that you've been entrusted with. At some point, that child will now be an adult and you will be a mentor, a coach, or a matriarch to them. But for a season, can you do that which God has asked you to do with that life, so that when they release that life as an adult into the world will be blessed because the child was brought up by you? That's the question. Multiplication, passing values, wisdom, faith, and character to future generations. Wholeness. A healthy mother raises healthier children. God never intended mothers to disappear. What does losing yourself in motherhood mean? Losing yourself in motherhood happens when your role becomes your identity. You stop asking who I am and begin asking only, what does everyone else need from me? Signs include identity loss. You can no longer describe yourself outside being a mom. All your conversation, there's no conversation that you have that your children will not enter that conversation. Your husband will not enter that conversation. It's about dinner. It's about lunch. It's about, hey, they're going for school trip tomorrow. Oh, I'm doing excursion tomorrow. There's nothing. Well, do you understand? You know those conversations. Chronic guilt. Constantly feeling guilty whenever you do something for yourself. Small shoe where you buy, you don't already they feel guilty, say you are being selfish. Buy that shoe. It's okay. If you have the money and you have the budget for it, please buy something for yourself once in a while. Chronic guilt. Oh, I spent 5 hours. If I spend 5 minutes by myself, and then chronic guilt. You're constantly feeling guilty that you're not a good mom. Does that feeling stay with anybody on this chat? Constantly feeling that you're not doing enough. Constantly feeling that you're not enough. Constantly feeling that there's just something. Oh, my children are not eating well. Oh, they're not sleeping well. Everything. You've carried guilt like a crown. Emotional exhaustion. You are constantly pouring out but never replenishing. Forgotten dreams. You no longer remember what excites you. You have no hobby. You have no life. You have no, nothing. Everything. Hey, my children, my children, my children. You carry your children as if you're sending them on your head. You see your children. You know why I find this very dangerous? Because your children are watching you and they will replicate the life that you are modeling. You constantly lose yourself. They would not learn how to create boundaries. My children know that when I need 5 minutes to myself, I need 5 minutes. In fact, my daughter is very funny. She sets a timer for me. I'm like, set the timer, I don't care. But you people will really need to learn how to stay by yourself for 10 minutes. I don't care that you're so young. Stay by yourself for that little time. Because I'm also teaching them boundaries. I'm also teaching them that they don't need to give themselves till they are so fully exhausted. You're setting a precedence for the next generation. You're setting values for the next generation. When you lose yourself, you do not know what it does to that child. For a girl child, especially, she loses herself. She becomes everybody, everything to everybody. And that's how wrong relationships are formed because she doesn't know herself. Her mother never knew herself. Mother never modeled identity. Her mother never owned her identity. So what happens is that she doesn't know how to own her identity. She doesn't know how to. And then she gets older, she becomes a teenager, and you start wondering, why are teenagers so rough? Why are they so loose? There was something that was modeled to them that was not modeled right. So you're forgetting dreams. You're teaching your girls to forget themselves, to forget their, just forget who you are. And then resentment sets in. Remember the story I told you about the 63-year-old woman feeling sorry for herself? She called herself fat. She called herself ugly. There was nothing she didn't say on that call. And I was like, man, if I had your 35-year experience, I would be writing a book and I would be on social media. And she was like, I feel so useless. And honestly speaking, I'm not talking for that woman only. I know a lot of women who are older who feel that way. Resentment, invisibility. Everybody knows what you do. Nobody knows who you are. So they know you're the one that when there's a love feast, you're the one packing the puff and the meat pie. You can organize, you can do this. You are the one always doing everything for everybody, but nobody knows who you are truly, truly. And why does this happen? Society often rewards self-sacrifice. Many women are praised for disappearing. The more exhausted you are, the more devoted people assume you must be. So exhaustion now equals devotion. And how is that so? But sacrifice and self-erasure are not the same thing. You can make sacrifice for your children, but you don't need to erase yourself. Generational modeling. A lot of us saw our mothers doing the same. A lot of us saw, in fact, I think that's part of my trauma for not loving the kitchen. It was literally like my mom lived in the kitchen because every time she's cooking one, and the cooking is so long. So nowadays I look for simple. If I want to make a Ferrari, I don't want a Ferrari that takes me more than one. What is 1 hour? Why am I in the kitchen for 1 hour? Because they modeled so much oil. You grind the pepper with stone. Grind the pepper with stone. If you don't grind the stone, this food will not be sweet. You buy blender for her. She say she's not using blender. That one is too, sophisticated. Self-erasure. Let's suffer this suffer. If your sweat doesn't enter that food cannot be sweet. You want to buy dawa, what's ogiri? You pound it. So you're spending 6 hours in the kitchen and you get out of the kitchen, you're screaming at all of us, you're beating all of us. Come on, that's the generational modeling a lot of us got. They gave endlessly. They never rested. In fact, if you in my own house growing up, if you rest, it feels like a taboo. How dare you rest? Who are you to rest? Hey, what have you done with your life that you're resting? Rest becomes a taboo. And because of that, a lot of you on this call find it difficult to rest, find it difficult to take a break. Never pursue personal growth. When you finish all the grinding and everything, then you now come and you watch a combe on TV or you watch one stupid soap opera. No time for personal growth. No time for becoming. Never had dreams outside caregiving. That generation, there were a lot of women who would tell you that their pension plan is me and you who are listening to me on this call, this generation. So they now pass the burden on you again. They have finished, passing that burden on us, and you now do black tasks constantly. You see, nothing was built. We often repeat what we witness. Fear. Some women fear being judged, being called selfish, and being called some women fear being pursuing purpose, and some women fear taking up space. So what do? They shrink. Identity was already unclear before motherhood. That's another reason why people lose themselves. Motherhood already magnifies existing identity struggles. If you didn't know who you were before children, motherhood can only deepen that confusion. trauma and people pleasing. A lot of women learned that my value comes from what I do for others. Remember when I said in the beginning that just that feeling of feeling needed gives you a sense of satisfaction, gives you a sense of I've arrived. And then motherhood becomes another place to earn worth, because obviously your children look up to you for everything. And then there's another reason why, people lose themselves in motherhood. It's the myth of being a perfect mother. The world tells mother to be everything, do everything, never struggle, never fail. And that's just an impossible standard that eventually crushes women. So how do I stop this from happening? I'm going to be rounding off. I can see that my time is up. How do I stop this from happening? Remember who you were before motherhood. Don't return to your old life, but reconnect with your God-given design. Ask questions like, what brings me alive? What gifts has God given me? What burdens has He placed in my heart? Maintain your relationship with God. I can't overemphasize that. Your children cannot become your source of identity. Only God, I'll say that again, only God can carry that weight. Your children cannot be your source of identity. Stay connected to the one who defines you. Create space for yourself. You are not a machine. You need to learn how to rest, how to reflect, how to learn friendships that friendships that revive your soul, not friendships that deplete you. And creativity. You can color. As childish as it sounds, you can color, you can paint. There's nothing childish as that. I mean, like, about that. It's something that those creative activities do to you. They help you. They recharge, or they restart your creative juices, and you start to see that you have buried so much on the inside of you. These are not luxuries. These are necessities. And another thing you should do in order not to lose yourself is to keep growing. Continue developing yourself spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, professionally, and then in every lee that is available, just keep on growing. Children benefit when their mother keeps growing. You see, your self erasure, your self giving, your self sacrifice, your all those things that you think, oh, this is me living for my kids. Those are not the things that actually benefit your kids. The main thing that will benefit your kid or your child is when you, as a mother, takes charge. You stand your ground. You become the fullness of what God has called you. Then you leave a better legacy. When you become, you are more useful to the kingdom than the sacrifice that you think you're making for those children. Oh, I left everything. I did everything for them. Yet, no, that's not where we are. I want to say this as I round off, is that I need you to build a life bigger than your daily survival. Have goals, have vision, have projects, have dreams. Not because achievement makes you valuable, but because God Himself created you to bear fruit. And that fruit is beyond motherhood, it's beyond bearing fruit of children. That fruit that you bore, those children that you bore, is for God, though. You're giving him back to God. You're giving them back to God. He said He loaned you to them for a time. But when they go, what remains of you? When they go, what remains of you? That's the question. So it's not because achievement makes you valuable that you should have all these things, but because you were created to bear fruit, to be fruitful, to multiply. It's not just multiply children. It's not just having 6 children, 8 children, 12 children. I don't know if you have 12 children in this generation, but it's not just that. It is about bearing fruit in your own life. In your own life. Let your children see you living. I know when she was talking about my biome, I say fondly, hey, mamas, let's start living. Because too many times, I see women who are not living, who are only struggling. You see us, we are looking older than our age. You see us, we are looking stressed, as if to bear a mark of suffering. The Bible says that I bear on my body the mark of our Lord Jesus Christ. It's not that kind of mark, oh. No, it's not the mark of I can't take care of myself kind of thing. So if you have already lost yourself and this has already happened, how can you be restored? Many women wake up one day and realize, I don't know who I am anymore, but I have good news for you. Restoration is possible. The first thing you can do is to grieve. Acknowledge what has been lost, lost years, lost confidence, lost dreams, lost voice. Grief is only the doorway to healing. The second step is to return to God. Lord, who did you create me to be? Go and ask him that question. He has the answer, and he will hear you. You might not hear immediately because you are so used to only hear mommy, mommy, mommy. No, but you will get you can come to the point where you can stay and say that it's funny because the children were using as an excuse will not even accept your excuse when if you don't become. So before you can go back to God and ask him, what did you create me to be? Before rebuilding anything externally, reconnect internally. And remember, the third step is to remember to revisit your old journals, your old dreams, your old passions, your old interests. Look for clues to the woman beneath the responsibilities. And the fourth step is that you build slowly. You do not need a complete reinvention. You start with small acts of rediscovery. Read, write, learn, create, speak, serve in church, serve, not the service of self-erasure again, because we moms are so good at serving, but you're serving purposefully. In, say for instance, you feel like God is calling you to young adults, for instance, you can serve the young adults in the church just to get a sense of the direction that they need, what's missing in their life, just a sense. Or you feel like, okay, I used to sew when I was younger. Oh, okay, let me buy a small machine. Let me try my hands at designs again. There's nothing wrong with all those things. And there's no too old, there's no shame, there's no too late. The only time it is ever too late for anybody is when they are dead. You are alive, there's hope. So never ever look at yourself and say, where can I restart? How can I restart? Your journey is your journey. You own it. And it's when you wake up that your morning starts, as they say. But I just want to encourage anyone listening to me here. You're not too old. You're not too far out. The fifth step is to separate identity from role. You are not your role. You have roles. You are a daughter of God who happens to be a mother, a wife, a professional, a leader, and a creator. Roles change, but identity remains. So today you can be a mother. Next tomorrow you can be a grandmother. You see. So your role has changed. Has been added to, not has changed. Sorry, has been added to. But that fundamental who you are as a child of God remains the same. Step 6 is to allow yourself become again. Some women spend years trying to recover who they used to be. Sometimes God is not calling you backward. He's calling you forward. The goal is not to become the old you. The goal is to become the fullest version of who God is creating now. And the 8th step is, the last part of my topic is, why does this matter? Your greatest legacy is not simply raising successful children. The greatest legacy is raising children who witness the healthy, whole, God-centered mother. Children learn more from what we model than what we preach or what we teach. When a mother loses herself, children often learn love means self-neglect. Have you ever seen children who grow up, go into their husband's house and accept beating from their husband because that was what they were modeled? And I was reading one post on there, and I was actually very a little bit bewildered. And the woman said, I don't want a man who's gentle and kind. I don't know if it's satire, or I don't know if it's skits, but she was like, she didn't want a woman who was gentle and kind and because she wants drama. And I'm like, that's just all that she has seen her life. So, we don't want children learning from us that love means self-neglect and sacrifice means disappearance and adulthood means exhaustion and women only exist for others. That's not what we want to model to our children. But when a mother lives as God designed, children learn that identity comes from God, purpose matters, boundaries are healthy, rest is holy, growth never stops. Mothers are people too, and calling and family can coexist. Let me say that last one. Calling and family can coexist. I think my time is up. So I don't know, Titi Lokwe, do you want to? I have one more portion, but I think my time is up. I can take questions now.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I will just end by saying that there are two ways to this thing. There's the world's way and God's way. The world's way says perform harder, give more, ignore your needs, exhaust yourself, lose yourself, measure worth by productivity. But God's way says, abide first, receive before giving. Know who you are. Serve from fullness. You're not serving from depletion. Grow continually. Parent from identity, not insecurity. The world celebrates mothers who disappear. God calls mothers to flourish. The goal of motherhood is not to become less of yourself. The goal is to become more of who God created you to be while faithfully stewarding the children He entrusted to you. Because one day your children will leave your home. And when they do, there should be still a woman standing there, not a skeleton, not a caricature. There should still be a woman standing in that house, not a wannabe, not a I regret, or not a resentful woman, not a woman who looks like she has suffered and that's all she came to do, to suffer in this life. That's not God's plan for you. The woman standing in that house still should be whole, alive, purposeful, and deeply rooted in God. That woman is not separate from motherhood. She is motherhood redeemed. Thank you so much for having me in this session. I don't take this for granted, and I will be taking any questions if there are any. If not, thank you again, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm trying to admit. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Debbie. That was powerful. Are people there? Am I the only one that is writing? Because my hand, that was the reason why I could not open up my video. My hand was just dancing. I was trying to keep up with all the things that you were sharing with us. Thank you so much. That was very, very insightful. Finding yourself. So can you please, I want to see what really resonated with you, like in the course of our discussion. Our guest has shared a lot with us. She has shared a lot with us. Your purpose does not only hang with the kitchen, and all those people that said, "Oh, it's my child alone, my child alone. I live and die for my children." Our our guest has told us today that it is not, you are not, that's not what God has called you to be. Just to live and die for your children. There is a purpose beyond motherhood that God has called you to. So if there's anything that resonated with you, please, I want to see your comments in the comment section. I want to see what you're picking, what you picked, what you learned, what you're going to be doing, something that stood out for you, the aha moments. I want to see our response in the chat box. I'm seeing that people are just saying thank you. They are appreciating. They're appreciating you. Yeah, someone said motherhood is not a role. Is a role, not your entire identity. Thank you so much. Yes, motherhood is a role, not your identity. That is something that is very important. Yes, and something that I picked in the course of your when you started the discussion, when you were talking about create setting boundaries, how it is really important to set boundaries with the children, to tell them, okay, no, yes, this is my me time, and the children actually understanding that, yes, that your children understanding that, yes, this is mommy's me time. You cannot disturb her at that moment. I think that is something that is very important, because we see that if we don't kind of set boundaries, if we don't set street boundaries, we just keep going on and on. Our children is calling on, they are pulling us, and then you just keep going on and on, and before you know it, you are completely exhausted to do anything else for yourself. It's very, very important to help the children understand that boundary, to say, this is mommy's time, this is me time, and at this time, no, you don't disturb. Thank you so much. So in case you don't have, all right, I think that's a question. I think this is a question now. It's saying, in case you don't have support from partners, what can we do when you see that you're vanishing, when you see yourself vanishing and you don't have support from your spouse? Yeah, what can you do? How do you navigate that? That's a very good question. Over to you.
Yeah, so what I did, it's not like I don't have support from my spouse, but my spouse is busier than I am in terms of work, because I'm in a new country, or I came into a new country and I started giving birth. What I did, though, what worked for me, was I created a community of women around me. In fact, my husband has been so shocked at the number of people around me, because he's been here for 20 years and haven't been here that long. But he's like, Debbie, if I say something now, you already have a solution you have somebody, and I'm not calling random people, don't get me wrong, it's not randomness. It's prayerfully building a community for myself. The reason I can go for 1 week sometimes for my retreats, because I have a retreat I go to every year for 1 week in February. Every single year I have gone for the past 4 years. It's because I also have that community. So they work. In fact, it was so funny one time. Was it last year? I can't remember. Last year, yeah, last year. My husband closes from work at 6. So there's one that picks up the children, stays with them till 6. They're all our children are friends in the same school. And then there was one particular day that had different activities. I had coordinated 2 different moms to take the child that is going to the activity with your child, take your child. What am I trying to say? You can't live life alone. And seriously speaking, a lot of times I know that men are slow at catching up with providing support, but I don't sit down and moan about the lack of support. I find a solution. That's what I do. I create communities. I make sure that these people are also in the same learning circles that I am in, so that we will understand that these are boundaries, these are things we will not. In fact, one of my friends will say, the only reason I don't mind, I can close my eyes and send my children to Auntie Debbie's house is because I know that if I say no, Auntie Debbie is also saying no in her house. So it's creating the community. By the time I spent 1 year in England, there were 25 women in my house for the first birthday of my child. My husband said, how do you pull this off? They are not really my friends. So you would have these are circles. You know who is your inner circle, you know who is your kind of outer circle. This is a circle. So I was very, very, very careful about who is the closest. But 25 women came to celebrate with me. My husband came back from work. I was like, hey, this girl has only been here for 1 year. I don't take my girl friendships for granted, because my husband cannot be everything to me. And that's the honest truth. The truth of the matter is that because of the way the family works, a lot of the times is the men who are hustling harder for the family, and that's how their brain works. So they're not really thinking about the nitty gritty that you are thinking about. My girlfriends and I, or my female friends and I, sometimes we think for 4. It's midterm. We come into our group chat. How are we navigating this midterm? So that you can have midtime. I can have midtime. So the children might not necessarily be with me for the 5 days. We strategize, and then we now push the men inside. Oh yeah, all of you, today is daddy's day. Uncle Shagun now comes and he takes all the children out. See, you have to be strategic. I honestly didn't want to use this as an answer to your question. I wanted to say something else. But then, not truth, I think that if you don't form your own community as a girl, as a woman, you will struggle. We also were built for community. So if friendship is hard for you because you've been through a traumatic, you see, that's the thing. I have never been unlucky with friends, because it's not something I don't know how to put it. It's not something that I've been traumatized with. So I always get the right friends, the right my husband is always so amazed. He said he thought he knew people until he married me, and then from nowhere, from scratch. In fact, some of the people that are close to me now, people don't believe that we're not actual siblings.
Yeah.
Even when I go to Nigeria, I go to visit them. I go to visit her mom, because it's not about just you. So her grandmother, her mother is my mother in a sense. And forming communities, forming deep friendships is important. You can't do life alone. There are days that on Sunday, for instance, I'll use this latest Sunday as an example. Push the children to the father. Then the children wanted to have a play date with Auntie Bumi. He took them there. I didn't know what the transaction was. Sunday was my sleeping day. I slept, and I slept well. Then I can answer you. Because you see that crankiness, it comes from my tiredness.
Absolutely.
So today Bumi needs to sleep. She brings her children. We are all helping each other. It's not about being a burden to anybody. It's a give and a take system. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I think, Cynthia was the one that asked the question, and she said absolutely. She was already giving thumbs up, and from your response. I think we have one more question. So, all right. So, let's see. She said, "Thanks for today's session. That was awesome. Motherhood is a role and not your entire identity. My question is, how about you Okay, when you have a child, yeah, there is a child with special needs diagnosed with autism. You want to have a good time and rest and fulfill your purposes, but it's difficult despite trying to strategize. So I feel stuck as a mother. Can you help me with some tips and suggestions?
I know that autism comes in a spectrum, so I don't know how severe it is for your child.
Yeah.
But and I know that a lot of people, this is not autism now, but I know that a lot of women who have children with HDHD say that you're talking about boundaries and the boundaries don't work. You're talking about structures don't work. But I also think that also, so I have a friend who has a child with autism. No, not
Yeah.
she's not a friend, sorry, she's an acquaintance. She has a child with autism. And she
Mm-hmm.
had been able to also build this kind of community that I'm talking about. In fact, her own case is a little bit bad because her husband literally ran away. He couldn't
Mm-hmm.
control the he couldn't even have affection for those children. So he just
Mm-hmm.
ran away. But she still manages to get up. And I don't know where you are, places like England, you get the support that you need. I don't know where you are. I don't know what the medical situation in your own area is, but
Yeah.
it still boils down to that support, right? It still boils down to understanding. You see, some of us are dying in silence. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
that with all carefulness. But a lot of times it's trauma when you can't ask for help. It's trauma when you just feel like nobody understands. It's trauma when
Mm-hmm.
you feel like nobody will get it like you do. Ask for help. Create a system where, okay, so that for that my child's friend, she used to break out of the house and run away. It was that bad. So she's constantly running away. She had reported to the police so that she had told the neighbors. So that if they see a child running away, it's not like I'm a bad mother. Do you understand? So she has put systems in place to make sure that everybody knows that, okay, I need help. She has cried out for help. And that's what I'm talking about. When you say, and also it's also your interpretation of the burden that you have. So some of us take in our interpretation as, oh, God has given me a difficult situation. There's nothing I can do. I beg to differ. There's this woman on Instagram who I can't remember her name, but I've listened to her in the meeting, who has a child with autism, and she uses her story with that child to be follow. Do you know how many followers she has? She uses it as her purpose. She uses it as her story. She wears that pain and has found purpose in the pain, purpose in the so there's this thing about we need to feel sorry for ourselves, we need to feel down, we need to, oh, it's the end of the world. I have a sister who has a child with Down syndrome and autism, unfortunately. She's currently 8 years old, but she's developmentally 0 to 18 months. When my sister, just shortly before I came on this call, my sister was talking to me and she said that she's glad. I said, I can, this my sister is very funny. She loves God. So sometimes her perspective is from the God perspective. She said, I'm glad, that I can learn these things from my child. She's not seeing it as a burden. It's stressful, yes. But then her interpretation of that child in her life, she doesn't find it as a burden because it's also your interpretation that now makes some things harder to bear than other things. So what have I said? I've said two things. I said cry for help. It's hard to have a child with special needs. I don't have a child with special needs, so I will probably be the least qualified to tell you. But I have seen people navigate children with special needs who are thriving in a sense. They ask for help, they find solutions. I have somebody on my women's group who has used medication, has used food, sorry, no medication, used food to reverse her child's autism. Somebody that they said could not talk, somebody that they said could not walk, someone that they said could not be anything in life, someone that they called a vegetable. She used food, natural, God-given food, to reverse it. So what am I saying? I know people who fight for their life for the reversal of that spectrum. So they are not using the cross to feel stuck. They are carrying that cross and they are saying that I will ride this and I would succeed despite this. That's the mindset you should have. Your mindset should be, I can change the way I think about a situation. I'll give you a short story. When my nephew was 9, or yeah, it was 9 or 14, I can't remember. We all wanted to go, and his mother was doing internship. Was doing sabbatical in Germany, and we all wanted to go and visit the child. My mother, as an auntie, them as the child's mother. They didn't give any of us German visas, My nephew came. I came and said, "Hey, they didn't give us this." Hey, my nephew came and said, "They haven't given me visa yet." We all reapplied. Guess who they gave? They gave the children. They didn't give me. Maybe I was the one using my mouth to shout that they didn't give me visa. You know, I'm saying that story even though it happened almost 20 years ago. Why I'm saying that story is that it gave me the power of yet. It gave me the power of consider it joy when you face different kinds of trial, because the trying of your faith produces perseverance, and perseverance, when it has completed its work in you, it will filter. So yes, I know you feel stuck, but maybe it's your mindset that you need to change. Maybe you should go and look for women who are using their pain for purpose, and then see how they are doing it and glean from them, because everything in life, right, is usually a case of perspective. Stephen Hawking, for instance, he's on a wheelchair. I don't even know how that he does, but he's so popular. He writes books, but he has severe disability. People that were born with short limbs, they have severe disability.
Yeah.
I saw one. I was crying. She had no limbs. She had no hands and no legs. She was driving, and she has a child. I went to John Maxwell's conference 2 years ago, and there was this man who is very popular. I can't remember his name right now. He came on stage, and this one was not like I was watching him on the Instagram that I had seen him. I was seeing him live, giving us talk. So your mind needs to change. Your mind needs to renew your mind. Tell yourself that I'm not stuck. I am figuring this out, because every time you stay in a place of stuckedness, that's where your mind stays. Every time you stay in a mind of pain and fear, every time you stay in a mind of anxiety, your mind cannot see the possibility of what can happen beyond your present circumstance. And that's where the danger is. That's where the danger is. There are people who are winging it. So I may not be qualified to tell you, but I have seen people who are winging these things with even worse disabilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you let your mind change. You're not stuck. You're figuring it out.
Thank you so much. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. I think, yeah, for the person that dropped that question, another person also said, I'm also in that shoe. That's amazing. We should not see ourselves like you're stuck. You're not stuck. We need to start with a shift in mindset. If you start from the point of, yes, my mindset is changing, then you're able to see solutions. You're able to see possible solutions. And harnessing the power of community is very, very important. I think that speaks to us all, like as women. Let us not learn to do life alone. And when you see people struggling, I used to say that alone. When you see people struggling around you, don't just look away. Don't just feel like, yes, I'm living for myself. Try to see how you can help other women. It might be an advice, it might be a tip that you might give them that might help them. So we should not just look away. Okay, we can say that it's very, very good for us to harness the power of coming together. Like our speaker has said, we need to do that. Look inside, look around you, people that can come together, people of like minds. Okay, and if you feel like, oh, I'm the only one that has this is my idea, train them, get people to introduce them to the things that you're listening to, introduce them to the things that are benefiting introduce them to things, and from there you're able to create your own community, to your own community of women too. Okay, and then you're able to work together, you're able to harness the support that you can get from one another. That is very powerful. That is awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's
Thank
any other
you.
person that has any other question. Sorry. Any other question or any other before we let our speaker go? Before we let her go for today? Yes. I've not seen any other question. And what do you say? We'll say thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach
Thank you
Debbie.
for having me.
Yes. Can you please drop your social media handle on the chat box? Sorry, I forgot to get that from you. You can drop your social media handle on the chat box, and then so if you want to follow her, you can follow her on she has an Instagram page, she has a YouTube page, and she does YouTube. Yeah, she does live program on YouTube. Yes. Every Friday. Yes, I've watched it a couple of times. You can see that she has so many things. So if you're still feeling like, yes, you want to know more about finding yourself, you can just reach her, follow her, and then you are able to benefit from what she's sharing. You can see that she has a lot of things to share. Thank you so much, Mama.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we move right into the next session. Actually, we are supposed to take a break. How are we feeling? I'm sure that we are getting a lot of insights. You're really getting, I don't want to say you're getting fired up, ready for purpose. Like you're ready to move, you're ready for purpose. Those of us that have been sleeping, that have been be like, oh, my purpose is to raise my children. Those of us that are in that WhatsApp group of my purpose is to raise my children. I hope you're stepping out. I hope you see that you need to step out of that WhatsApp group. Your purpose is not your children, it's not just your children, okay? You are a steward. You do not own those children. Some people raise children to be like, I own you. I was one that gave birth to you. I own you. I can do whatever I want with you. Something like that. You do not just own your children. We have learned today that you're a steward. God is the owner. You're working alongside with God. And then if you don't take care of yourself, you are not able to take care of those children. You just see that you start bleeding out on them. So it is very important for us to take care of ourselves. It's very important for us to discover ourselves, and implement all these things that our speaker has said. Thank you so much once again for listening. I want us to take a short break, coffee break, just for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, don't go. 2 minutes coffee break so that we can enter into the next session. We still have one more interesting topic that we are going to be talking about today. We have talked about ourselves as mothers, so we want to dive into the children now, the motherhood, looking into the lives of our children. So we are going to take 2 minutes coffee break, and then we come back to start the next session. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Nobody is leaving. 2 minutes coffee break, okay? Welcome back, everyone. I hope you've been able to take coffee, you've been able to stretch your leg a little bit, and I want us to just have some time to reflect on what we have just heard, just take some time to let us sink in. So that is why we are taking that break. So we are welcome back to the summit, and I hope, please, can you hear me? I'm having some technical issues right now, but then the program still goes on. Some people are not able to join on Facebook, so I'm trying to sort things out. But then the program still goes on. We hope that tomorrow will be better. All right. Okay. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining us. Welcome back to the summit. I don't know why I'm having difficulties with my slide. It's just flying away. So the first session has really spoken to us. Do you agree with me? The first session has spoken to us, has spoken to our need as moms, it's really spoken to our needs. So now we want to move on from our needs as mom and then move on to our children. So I'll be taking us on the topic, understanding the child beyond behavior. We want to see behind every behavior that child is showing, whatever it is that we feel, oh, my child, I'm having difficulties, my child is proving stubborn, my child is behaving this way or that way. We want to see what exactly is behind that behavior. So that is why we are talking about understanding the child behind behavior, beyond behavior. Okay. So for a minute, I want you to just imagine your 6-year-old. You have a 6-year-old, and you have spoken to the child. Maybe your child is jumping on the bed and the child is ignoring you for the 5th time. You have asked politely, you have repeated yourself, you raised your voice, come on, stop it, sit down, stand up. Eventually you shout, and even you even shout, and even sometimes mothers, you can spank, because of that. Some of us still use spanking, right? And now everyone is upset. Your child is crying, and then you're feeling guilty. Oh, I don't really want to use this method. I don't want to shout. Why is he not getting it? And then you're wondering, why is something so simple always so difficult? This thing is simple, okay? And let me give another instance. All right, perhaps you have a toddler. You stood in the middle of a supermarket while your toddler is screaming and rolling on the floor because you have said no to sweets. Or maybe it's you have teenagers that you're dealing with. You have watched your teenager retreat behind the bedroom door, and you wondered, where is this cheerful child gone? Where is this my child? Where is this child gone to? Okay. Have you ever looked at your child and wondered, why are they behaving like this? I think most of us have been there. Why wouldn't they listen? What am I doing wrong? Why have I, is it that I'm failing as a parent? Those are questions, some of the things that we encounter. I want us to be dropping it on the chat box if the things that I'm saying, if it's resonating with you. I want to see it in the chat box. Some of these things that I'm saying, does it resonate with you? Okay. Now, what if I now told you that many of these behaviors and worries that frustrate us, or things that exhaust us, they are not signs that our children are broken. They are not signs that our children are broken, but they are actually signs that our children are developing. I want that to sink in. What if I told you that all these things, most of the things that worry you, oh, my child is not listening, my child is not this and that, and then what if I told you that most of these things that are frustrating you and that is making you to be exhausted is not that because your child is broken, all right? Or maybe because your child is broken. Let me use that word. Maybe they are just signs that your child, excuse me, they are just signs that your child is actually developing. So many are struggling. Many of us are struggling. Many parents are struggling because they are trying to solve behavior without understanding the child behind it. And that is why we are talking about understanding the child beyond the behavior. You're struggling, you're trying to fix the child without understanding the child that is behind it. I wrote a quote some years back. Of course, everybody knows. I think majority were not here when I did the introduction. I am a children's nurse, and I've been a children's nurse even before I started having children. Okay, I've been most of my career, for over 14 years of my career, has been taking care of children. I started early in my career to start taking care of children. So I love taking care of children. And there was this quote that I wrote shortly after I finished school, like when this brand started early, that's as far back as 2018 that I'm saying now. All right. I was still trying to figure it out. Okay. So I read a quote, and when I was preparing for this presentation, I remembered it and it resonated with me. I wrote a quote. It says, "The voice of a child." That's the title. The child is speaking. It says, "I am a child. That is who I am." Sorry, 1 minute. I want to stop this music. Okay, thank you. So it says, "I am a child. That is who I am. I am not a mini adult. Don't treat me as one. I deserve to be seen. Because I am present. I deserve to be loved because I have emotions too. I deserve to be heard because I have a voice." So when you hear the word a child, what comes to your mind? What do you think about? What exactly do you think when you hear the word a child? That is the things that we are going to be talking about. But before we go into that, I want to ask us a quick question. When your child misbehaves, all right? When your child misbehaves, what do you see first? The behavior or the child behind the behavior? When your child misbehaves, what do you see first? Do you first see the behavior or the child behind the behavior? I want you to reply in the chat box. I want to see our response for a minute. What do you see first when your child does something that is wrong, throws tantrum, talks back at you? Can can we drop some comments in the chat box? When your child misbehave, what is the first thing that you see? Do you see the behavior, what the child is doing, or do you take a step back to look at the child behind the behavior? Do you actually see your child? I'm waiting for our response, please. Are we still here? Am I alone here? Okay, I think so. Maybe we are still thinking about it, right? I want to assume that we are thinking about it. Am I right? Okay, someone said, "I see the child behind the behavior." Thank you. We are here. Uh, what it let me know that you are here is when you're giving me some kind of feedback. Okay. Oh, perfect. This is so good. All right. So I'm trying to see our comments now. Now, I don't know what's happening here. I'm not able to see the comments. Okay, so imagine your 6-year-old ignores you, like I said earlier, and then you have asked politely, you have raised your voice, eventually, you shout, you even spank, and now everyone is upset and your child is crying. You feel guilty and you're wondering, why is something so simple always looks so difficult? Oh, no, okay, and so many other scenarios that I've shared. But have you ever looked at your child and wondered, why are they behaving? Why would they listen? All those things. And I've said earlier that so most of the time, most of the time, those things are signs that our children are developing. They are not because your child wants to frustrate you or that your child is doing that intentionally. All right, we are going to be looking at that deeply. Many people struggle because they try to solve the behavior. You try to stop your child from throwing tantrum. You try to stop your child from being defiant. You try to stop that aggression or whatever it is that you see that your child is behavior that your child is showing at that time. You try to stop it without understanding who the child is first. Okay, so now let's talk about one of the biggest mistake that adults make. I'm sorry, I'm unable to share my slide. I don't know. I'm having difficulties, like technical issues. I would have loved you to see the slide. It is very interactive, and then you'll be able to understand what I'm saying well. But then I'll make do with what I have. Okay, I'll try to explain as much as possible. All right. So one of the biggest mistake adults make is assuming that behavior is the problem. Um, I want to also imagine an iceberg. I don't know, iceberg. We have seen majority of us. I don't know if we have all seen this movie before, Titanic, and then you see an iceberg was one that caused the ship to wreck. The ship crashed into an iceberg, and then that was what caused the ship to wreck. Okay, so I don't know. I want you to just imagine it now. Imagine it. The iceberg, you're just seeing the tip. Is like an ice that you're seeing on the sea. All right. So you're seeing it on the sea, but then below the iceberg is something else beneath, inside the sea, which is way bigger than what you can see at the tip. All right. So I want you to just imagine that iceberg now, like as your child's behavior, like your child's behavior. On the tip of that iceberg, the one that you can see above the sea level, is the tantrum, the defiance. You see the refuser, your child talking back to you, the aggression, and all those things. They are the things that you can see. But underneath that behavior, below the sea level, is the bigger problem, the bigger issue, which is the immature brain, the unmet emotional needs, need for connection. There is fear, there is overwhelm, there is fatigue, there is sensory challenges. We've had somebody talk about having a child with that is on the spectrum today now. There is sensory challenges, there is developmental limitation, there is stress. Yes, our children actually go through stress. So the truth is that behavior is often the visible expression of the invisible experience. I want you to note that the behavior that your child is showing is actually communicating something to you. All right. Naturally, we all focus our energy on trying to stop the things that we can see. That is what we do most of the time. Even the Bible says that the things that we can see, the things that we can see, they are temporary. The things that we cannot see, they are the ones that are the bigger issues. They are the ones that are eternal. They are the ones that we are supposed to focus on. If I'm going to use that in that context, the things that we can see, they are the small issue. They are the ones that are they are speaking to us from the bigger issue that is behind, the ones that we cannot see. I wrote here that behavior is a symptom. It's actually a symptom. It's a communication. It's telling you something. Behavior, your child's behavior is a message. The behavior is visible. It's the visible expression of something that is happening beneath the surface. Like I said, just the iceberg. That is floating on the ocean. That small portion of the iceberg is only visible above the water, but the larger portion remains hidden below the surface. So a child's behavior works the same way as the iceberg. Above the surface, we see the tantrum, we see defiance, we see aggression, we see clinginess, we see withdrawal, you see the back talk and anxiety. But below the surface are those things that I mentioned. We should note that below the surface, those things that are beneath are the things that are important. There is something that is the developmental stage of your child. There is an immature brain. When your child is behaving, you need to know, okay, what am I fighting with here? What am I dealing with here? All right. Unmet emotional needs. There could be fear. Some children are dealing with overwhelm. Some children are dealing with sensory challenges, developmental limitation, stress, and a need for connection. But the truth is that most of the time, what we deal with as parents, we try to fight the tip of the iceberg and missing completely what is beneath underneath. What is underneath? So the discussion today is to help us to simply not to just manage the behavior. We are not going to be managing the behavior, but we are going to helping us to see the child behind the behavior. Okay. So now I want to go into who is a child, helping us to understand who a child is. I wrote that as the definition. Unfortunately, we can't see what I wrote. All right. Okay. So, but I wrote it here that childhood is a distinct phase of growth where the brain and the body undergo rapid transformation. I want us to note that it's a distinct phase of growth. It's not, you are not raising mini adults. You are not raising a younger adult or a small adult. Okay, is a distinct phase itself. All right, and at this phase, the brain and the body both, they are undergoing rapid transformation. And I want you to know it, especially if you're here and you have your child between 0 to 5 years. I want you to note this point very well, because we know that, because it has been stated, it has been confirmed that at the stage at which the brain grows rapidly the most is the first 5 years. From 0 to 5 years, the brain connection, the brain cells, the brain develop very rapidly. So the experiences that your child have at that stage from 0 to 5 years is very, very important. It is very, very important in shaping your child's growth, your child's trajectory as they grow up. So that is why we have to be careful most especially at that first 5 years of life. Okay, so there is rapid transformation that happens as the child is growing. Then that stage of childhood is defined by natural development, natural developmental immaturity. That is also something that I want us to note. It is defined by natural developmental immaturity. Okay, your child is not just a smaller adult, your child is a developing human. All right, everything about them is still under construction. Their brain is under construction, their emotions is under construction. That is why I am emphasizing the fact that it is natural developmental immaturity. Their relationships, their identity, their understanding of the world. Children are not, they are not finished products. They are just a work in progress. So there is also biological dependency. That is where you see that they depend on you at that young age. They depend on you. They depend on you for feeding. They depend on you for correction. They even depend on you for emotions. All right. So in the course of this discussion, you're going to be learning that your emotions also matter in regulating your child's emotion. So when you see your child throwing tantrum, not being able to control their anger, so I'm going to ask you, are you helping them to regulate? How are you displaying your emotions? How are you able to control your own emotions? Because they are depending on you to regulate themselves. It is when you're able to regulate yourself that they're able to regulate themselves. So there is biological dependency at that stage, and there is an emerging individuality. We are going to be breaking this point as we go on. So think about a child. I want you to think about it now. A behavior that frustrates you the most in your child. Any behavior, anything that your child does. Or, difficulty in getting the chores done, saying no repeatedly, different things that the child does. Throwing tantrums, you have to talk to them over and over before they listen to you. Just think about it. And now ask yourself, when I'm talking to my child, this behavior, am I viewing this behavior through the lens of a finished adult or a developing child? Do you actually look at your child and say, oh, this thing that you're doing is because you're still developing? Then I'm supposed to help you. Or do you look at your child and say that, why are you not listening? So I not told you over and over and over and over and over? Do you see them as you're supposed to know it all? Or do you see them as, yes, you're still developing? Because the way you view them, the way you view the behavior, the way, whatever lens you're viewing it, is going to determine how you're going to react, how you're going to respond. And your response is going to determine what feedback your child will be getting to. Okay, so let's talk about developmental immaturity. I said I was going to be breaking it. I'm going to be breaking it down for us. I'm not going to bore us so much with the medical jargons, but I want us to have an understanding, because I believe that when we know what is happening, we know the reason why something is happening, then we are able to understand how how to approach it. Knowing why helps you to approach it well, and how to approach it, like, it helps you to approach issues with confidence when you know why these things are happening. All right, so a child's brain, particularly the prefrontal cortex, that is the upper brain of a child, is responsible for impulse control and long-term planning. At this stage of childhood, this part of the brain is actively rewiring, and is not yet fully matured. It's not fully matured. And the truth is that aspect of our brain that helps us in planning, controlling our impulse, our emotion, it does not get fully matured until early stage of adulthood. So when you have your teen child behaving in a certain way, they are falling short. Okay, don't blame them too much, because that part that helps us planning, impulse control, does not fully develop until adulthood. I wrote a post sometime. I was saying that, yes, your child, your 6-year-old does not have a brain of a 10-year-old. Yes, your 6-year-old might be intelligent. Your 6-year-old might be bright, might be intelligent, yes, academically sound, but that does not make your 6-year-old have a brain of a 10-year-old. There is stages to development. So you cannot hurry the child up There are some things that the child needs to figure out. The child needs to mature. That is cannot be taken away. Okay. So what looks like willful disobedience is often a lack of neurological capability. Let me go back to that story that I was talking about. Maybe let me say it this way: you have your 6-year-old just jumping on the sofa, and you have told him, come down, and then repeatedly and all that, and eventually there was an outburst from both of you, and then you start feeling guilty. Most of the time, we assume that if the child understands the rule, the child should be able to follow it consistently. I have told you so many times. I've told you at that age. I've told you so many times that you should not do this. But the truth is that understanding is different from self-control. Yes, the child knows the rule, but the part of impulse control, controlling self, that is the part of the brain that controls that, has not yet been fully developed. Okay, so that is why you need to be able to follow it. You're able to help your child, be patient with your child, and be able to train consistently. Whatever habits that you want your child to get, you're able to train consistently. Not that you start an outburst. You need to understand the fact that this child is still developing. All right, this part of the brain that controls, that helps in self-control, has not yet matured. Okay, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, for planning, for reasoning, for emotional regulation, for decision making, that is the prefrontal cortex. Excuse me, the prefrontal frontal cortex that I talk about, that region of the brain. It's going to continue to develop well into adulthood. It means that children that means that children frequently knows what they should do, but they cannot reliably do it at that stage. A toddler may know that I'm not supposed to eat. You have warned your child, don't eat. We don't do that. All right. Yeah. But then they can still make mistake when they feel overwhelmed because they have not learned emotional control. They have not read emotional regulation. All right. So you you can see, and it's cuts across different stages of life. I'm going to be talking about what to expect at different age stages. I'm not saying that your teenager should start behaving like a 2-year-old. That is not what I'm saying. As a child is growing, there are some level of development or maturity that you expect at each stage of growth and development. And we are going to be looking at some of those things that we expect at each stage. All right. So instead of asking your child now, how many times will I tell you to stop doing this? Try to think and ask the question, what support does my child need to achieve this thing that I'm saying? All right. Instead of saying, oh, how many times? Oh, this child is too stubborn. What support does my child need? The goals will now shift from just punishing the child to teaching. Your goal is, I want to help my child to learn this. I was talking in the morning. I was talking earlier that our children understand when she wants to have a me time. They understand the boundary. That is because she has been able to consistently train and train them to get to that level. So to teach, all right, I want us to see it as a form of teaching. You're teaching your child, you are helping them to attain some behavior, to achieve some behavior. You're not expecting them that you say it once and the child gets it once. It does not work like that with children, all right, because their level of immaturity has not gotten to that place. I've spoken earlier about biological dependency, that your child needs you to regulate. Your child depends on you to regulate. There's something that we call co-regulation by a calm adult. You have to be calm to be able to teach calm. Okay, you cannot teach calm by screaming. You cannot teach your child to be calm, to regulate themselves by screaming. If you notice that your child is screaming and shouting, then you first need to check yourself. Do I scream back at them? Or am I helping them to regulate themselves? If you want your child to be able to regulate themselves, then you should be able to regulate yourself. That is talking about biological dependency. They need you to be able to regulate themselves. Then I'll move on to individuality, that every child is different, every child is separate. Individuality and temperament. Every child is born with an innate temperament. All right, you can't expect child A to be child B. You will agree with me anyway that even children in our house, children born of the same parents. I have two boys now. Both of them are they are not the same. They are not, they don't, they have different personalities, even though they don't act the same way, even though they are raised by the same parents in the same environment. All right. So you see, two children. Let me give an example. Maybe two children in a birthday party comes to a birthday party. You see one quickly runs and starts socializing, start playing, and then you see the same another child clinging and holding on to the parents and say no, and then you start saying, oh, this child is shy, or maybe something is wrong with the child and all that. I want to help you to understand that every child has their individual temperament. They have their innate temperaments. They are unique in their own way. They have a unique way of reacting to the world. All right. So no two child is the same. You don't expect the same reaction, the same emotions from all children. You don't expect two children to behave the same way. Why are you like this? Your mate is 6 years old and is able to do this. Why are you not able to do this? Don't, because every child is an individual on his own. We have our individual temperaments. We have our individual biological makeup, things that we are born with, our temperament that is innate that we're born with. All right. So that helps us to also react differently in different situations. I'm just trying to break that down so that we help us to understand a child, who a child is. A child is that person that is an individual growing, developing, is a separate, a unique individual that is going through the stage of development. Excuse me, going through that unique phase of development. All right, has his own uniqueness, needs is dependent on you for growth. Biological dependence is there, and then, excuse me, one moment. Thank you. So there is biological dependency and there is developmental immaturity. Those are the things that I want you to understand about a child and when you're dealing with your child. So how do you understand a child's brain? If you understand the child's brain, you understand the child. That is simple as that. If you understand what is going on in the brain of a child, that is one aspect of childhood that got me intrigued. As a nurse, before I started having children, I used to focus on physical health. I educate mothers on their physical health of their child, talking about vaccines, how to help their child grow, feeding, nutrition, keeping their child physically healthy. But when I started having children, like when I had my first son, I realized that children's growth is beyond just the physical aspects. So then I'm thinking, what happens in the mind of a child? What is it thinking? All right. So if you understand the brain of a child, you understand a child. A child's behavior often reflects the brain development more than character. Imagine when you're buying a brand new house that is still under construction. The foundation has been laid, the walls is going up, the electrical wiring. Just imagine, most of us that have in that state where we are building a house, all right. Some rooms are still some rooms are finished, but then there's still some work that is going on. The electrical wiring is just partly installed. And then you walk into that unfinished room and then you are hungry that the kitchen is not functioning properly. Maybe the gas is not on. Oh, this one is not working properly. When you already know that this house is still under construction, are you supposed to be angry? It does not make sense to be angry in that stage. That is the same thing that is happening in our children. You expect in a house that is under construction, you still expect imperfection. That is what you expect in our children. Our children are still undergoing construction. They are still going through that developmental phase. You are building, the construction is going on by their experiences, what you're teaching them, the experiences that is going on around them, and their developmental age too. All right. So those are some of the things that is helping them to develop. That is construction that is going on. So you still expect some imperfections around it. When you know that these things are there, I think it helps us not to wear ourselves out. All right. It's not, these things that we are learning today is not teaching us to say, oh, that means you leave your children. Oh, you're pessimistic, you're relaxed. No, the aim of this is to help us to understand what is going on in a child's brain, so that when your child is exhibiting some of these behaviors that you think they are causing you trouble or they're making you feel exhausted, you are addressing it from the place of understanding that yes, my child is still growing, my child is still developing. All right, you're not overworked, you're not thinking, oh, I am failing, you're not thinking, oh, I am making mistake. No, you're thinking, it helps you to stay in the position of thinking, how can I help my child? Oh, what must I have missed here? Then I need to go and learn this. Oh no, I hope you get what I'm trying to say. It helps you to catch, what do I need to learn? What do I need to do to help my child, instead of feeling overwhelmed or feeling frustrated? Okay, that is the purpose of us helping understanding what is happening in our children's brain. All right. So one of the most important truths parents need to understand is children's behavior often reflects their brain development more than their character. Many behaviors that frustrate us, the signs of disrespect, laziness, some of those things are signs of immature and developing brain, like I said earlier. All right, so let's move to, I wish I can show you this picture. I'm still talking about the developing brain. Is a picture of the brain. Helps us to understand that our brain grows from from downstairs. Let me use downstairs. It goes from below stairs. I have a V picture now here. So uh, our brain grows from below. It grows up from. Why am I using the wrong choice of word? It goes from downwards upwards. Yeah, it grows from, like you're building a step, from downwards upwards. That's the way the child grow, the brain grows. So when the child is young, at that young developmental stage, the upstairs brain, the part of the brain that controls our thinking, our language, our creativity, has not yet developed. The child is still at that lower level, downstairs brain. Okay. So why brain matters is because brain controls virtually everything that we care about. Our brain is the one that controls our behavior. I hope you agree with me. It controls our learning, attention, memory, emotional regulation, decision making, relationships, self-awareness, impulse control. That is why I want to emphasize um i'm 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 I, I'm picking I'm picking this topic from the angle of understanding the brain, because the brain controls so many things that we see as defect in our children, so many things that we see as, oh, it's a problem in our children. It is from the brain. All right. So understanding the brain, how the brain develops, will help us to answer it will help us to answer a lot of questions. All right. Questions around so many things that are happening in our children. It helps us to answer questions of why is my children and my teenagers suddenly emotional? Why is it that my child cannot cope? When you understand the brain. So the brain is divided into two parts. Like I said, I will divide it into the upstairs and the downstairs brain. The upstairs brain is that, I would say, maybe I'm using that description because that's the simplest way for us to understand what is going on. The downstairs brain is the part that helps us to um that is responsible for our survival, our strong emotions like fight and flight, for us to fight, flight, to react to things and all that. It is all those things are found in the downstairs brain, and all our basic bodily functions like temperature, respiration, all those things are all found in the downstairs brain. So when and something happens to a child, the first thing that the brain interprets is, am I safe? All right. When a child is overwhelmed, a child is scared, a child is angry, tired, or embarrassed, the first thing, the downstairs brain is what takes over. We need to understand that downstairs brain is selfish. It's not, it's thinking, I need to defend myself. Oh, am I safe? Oh, what is happening to me? I need to, maybe run away or fight back. I need to, that is what the downstairs brain is doing. All right. It is the upstairs brain that helps us to take a moment to stop and say, okay, no, wait, pause a minute. This thing that is happening to me is not actually as overwhelming as I think it is. It's not actually as scary as I think it is. It is the upstairs brain that helps us to stop and think. And like I said earlier, if you are not going with anything today, understand the fact that our brain is growing from downward, it's going from bottom upwards. All right, it's going from upward, downward, upwards. All right. So if your child is exhibiting some behaviors that are not yet that looks like misbehavior, just try to see that, okay, my child's brain is still growing. That's part of the cortex, that part that helps my child to be able to understand this thing that I am saying has not yet been fully developed. Okay, so um that is a brief summary of what the brain is about. Okay, our upstairs brain is responsible for planning, for self-control, for problem solving, ability to use our initiative. When you're telling your child, are you not able to use your initiative and all that, it is the upstairs brain that is responsible for that, and knows that in your child it is still growing. Some of us didn't, because we were not even taught, we did not train our upstairs brain. Some of us even find these things still difficult to do. We've, as adults, I'm talking about as adults now that we are fully grown, we are still not, we still find it difficult to regulate our emotions. We find it difficult to make decision, to plan our time, to problem solve. Most of us are just learning it. All right, it's because we were not able to train, we were not helped to train our upstairs brain. That's prefrontal cortex that takes care of those parts. So now we are going to be talking about what to expect at each stage. Some of the things to expect at this stage. Excuse me. I know you might be wondering, oh, now that you have talked about my child is still developing and all that, how do I know the behavior, the appropriate developmental behavior to expect from my child? How do we know the appropriate developmental behavior to expect from my child? Thank God most of us that are participating on this call are in the group. So I'm going to be sending this to the group for us to go over it, because it's a list of things that I wrote out, and I differentiated it based on age range from 0 to 2 years. What do you expect from your child? What do you expect from your child from 0 to 2 years? From age 3 to 5 years? What habits, what developmental stage is my child in at this phase? 6 to 8 years, 9 to 11 years, then the teenage years. What developmental stage is my child in at this phase? What habits, what are the things that I'm expecting from my child to see? All right, so you're not confusing, oh, a child that is supposed to be learning rules, learning boundaries, and is not getting it, and you're thinking, oh, they said it's because of this developmental age and all that. No, that's not true. There are some things that a child is supposed to attain at each stage of their life. Let me use the physical development as an example. Physical stage of development, it is expected at the point in life, you expect that you see your baby having social smile. You expect at the point that the child is now able to sit, there's an age range for the child getting to walk, to crawl, climb steps and all that. You are not expecting a 6-month-old baby to start running. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to explain to us. And at the same time, all things being equal, you don't expect a 6-year-old to still be crawling. All things being equal, if there are no underlying conditions, neurological conditions, you don't want a 6-year-old to still be crawling. Okay, so we need to understand the developmental age of our child and what to expect at each developmental age. That is what we want to do now. Okay, so at 0 to 2 years, the brain focus at that stage is safety and attachment. Safety, attachment, and sensory learning. At this stage, the brain is developing rapidly, like I said earlier. It's developing through relationships and experience. And I'm trying to look at the time. Okay, I'm trying to look at the time. It's developing through a relationship and experience. I'm trying to rush up now. And the child is not thinking logically at this stage. The child is learning, am I safe? Can I trust the adults around me from birth to 2 years? So what you are able to, you're trying to help your child to achieve is help them understand safety, all right? Understand that, yes, I feel loved. I love you. The child needs for love is met at that stage. The child is building trust at that stage. The child is thinking we might need be met. So what to expect at that stage? There is strong attachment needs. There is separation anxiety. So don't feel bad if your 2-year-old is clinging on to you, or if your 1 year old does not want anybody else to carry him, it is expected at that age. There is separation anxiety. He has built this kind of attachment with you. There is frequent emotional outbursts. 2 years old, they call something trouble twos or something like that. All right. There is emotional outbursts. There is limited impulse control. The child is exploring things, picking up things. I was still speaking with my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law, I'm going to give an example. My sister-in-law has a 1 year old child, and I was speaking to her on the phone, and she was saying, "Oh, he just keep grabbing things, grabbing things, grabbing." I said, "That is the phase." I was telling her that is the phase that he is in. It's time for him to explore things, to pick things. You are the one that will create an environment, create an exploration environment for him, because you know that stage is exploration stage. You are the one that the things that you don't want him to touch, you will clear it away. So you need to understand what is happening at each phase so that you can help your child, provide what your child needs for their growth and development at each point. All right. So okay, so let me touch briefly. I'll touch briefly on each stage so that I don't leave anyone out. I know we have people with different age range of children on this call, so I'll just touch briefly because of the time. Age 3 to 5, your child at that stage. So if I'm getting to your age range, just pick some of the points there. The brain focus at that stage is independence and self-control. All right, this is where majority of parents feel frustrated because you feel like the children seem old enough to understand instruction, but then they still you're still seeing your child is still melting down, throwing tantrums. This is because understanding develops before self-control. Your child is able to understand what you're saying before they're able to control themselves. You need to know that. Yes, they know, but they are not yet able to control themselves. I remember my son was telling me, I've told him so many times that, okay, you don't pick things, don't go and take things from here without telling me. You need to tell me. I've repeated it over and over. And then there was one time, maybe he felt like he has done it, I've corrected him, and then he said, "Mommy, my brain keeps telling me to go here to go and pick things, and I don't know how to control it." I just laughed. I don't know how to control myself. I just told you that your brain is under your control. Your brain is under your control. Okay. So I'm just giving that example to help us to understand that yes, the child may at that age 3 to 5, your child understands, but they are still not able to control. They might still not be able to control themselves. But what do you expect at this stage? You expect that your child is able to follow simple instruction. Your child is beginning to understand empathy. Your child is learning their language skill, like how to speak, how to express themselves. At this stage, their language skill is growing. So your child is learning imaginative play, learning rules, increased dependence. So the things that are still developing, they are still developing their emotional regulation, delayed gratification is still developing, flexibility, impulse control, they are still developing. So what you are supposed to put in place at this stage is you helping them to understand, helping them to understand their emotions, their growing language skill. So at this stage is when you introduce your child to these are my emotions, naming their emotions. This is how I feel. This is how, because they are able to say those things at that stage. All right. Okay. So typical behaviors that you expect, arguing, that you can see them become difficult and say no. They put their feet down to say no, and then they start arguing with you. Those are some of the things that your child may exhibit at this stage. But when they understand that you say don't eat, like a 4 year old understand, don't eat, you cannot be spanking, you cannot be smacking or something like that. But then when they are angry, they might still do it. The knowledge exists, but the skill to control their emotions, the skill, they are still developing that skill. So you need to help them to learn different emotions vocabulary and you keep reinforcing your teaching at that stage. Okay, so 6 to 8 years, there is the brain focus at this stage is competence and rule following. All right, the brain is becoming more organized at age 6 to 8 years. You expect that your child's brain is becoming organized. They can think logically. They are starting to answer questions. All right, they're starting to ask questions. Why? What is happening? They're able to think, okay, this is why this is happening. This is what is controlling this. All right. However, their emotions is still frequently override their emotions still frequently override their reasoning. All right. They can expect that they should be able to control themselves. They should be able to follow routine at this age. Your child should be able to follow routine at this age. So it is, if your child is not able to follow routines, because you have not prepared a routine for your child. So it's for you to build your child's routine, okay, and they should be able to follow it. Your child at this age should understand consequence, that okay, if I do something wrong, this is what is going to follow. All right. So it's not we are not preaching being pessimistic. Understanding the brain is not preaching you being laid back. It is you knowing what to do at each point. So on your child at age 6 to 8 should understand consequence. They understand friendship. Friendship at this stage becomes more important to them. So you might see them drawing more to their friends. They want to make more friends and all that. There is increased responsibility. Your child at this stage should be able to do chores. In fact, earlier than this stage, but then at this stage, they're able to understand that this is my responsibility. This is the thing that I'm supposed to do. Okay, you should have established it. Okay, so what is still developing at this stage? Your child is still developing their emotional regulation. You see, this emotional regulation thing, it takes a long time. Most of us, even as adults, we are not able to regulate ourselves. It's a school that we might never graduate from. We need to learn how to regulate our emotions. Okay, so your child is still learning emotional regulation, frustration tolerance, complex problem solving, executive functioning. They're still building it. It's still developing. So you can see them complain. They complain. They complain. Oh, this work is too much. They complain. They understand. They can complain at this stage. Then there is sibling conflict. Sometimes you can experience homework resistance or emotional overreaction at times. All right. As a parent, what do you need to see? You see that this child can usually control behavior when they are calm. That is what you can see. When your child is calm, they're able to control their behavior. All right. But when they are overwhelmed, many of those skills develop. Many of those skills that they have developed will be shut down. That is because when overwhelms reach, the upstairs brain is like the upstairs brain that is still under this construction, and your pointing to block the way. You are not able to reach up to the upstairs brain. It gets shut. The door is shut when your child is overwhelmed. Just imagine a gate that is leading to upstairs, from downstairs up to upstairs, and then you now block it with so many loads. That gate that is supposed to take you upstairs, you block it with so many loads, so many things. You pack it on the way. You are not able to reach the upstairs, so they are not able to reason. They are not able to think. All those things that you have taught, it will be shut off at that stage. So it is you that you help them to calm down, co-regulate, and bring them back. Try to pack all those things that have shut the door on the door to the upstairs brain. You pack them away by being calm yourself, so that the door can be opened and then you can start reasoning. But when your child is overwhelmed, I want to give an example. Your child is overwhelmed, your child is shouting, your child is shouting, and you are shouting back. You're shouting back at that child, my dear mamas. The child is completely shut out. You that cannot bring the child to a state of calm. Oh, I don't know if you have experienced it before, especially if you have a child that is very strong-willed. All right, a child that will not back that easily. Your child is shouting. If you are shouting, your child is shouting back. They are shouting back. The more you shout at them, the more that gate is locked. It's like you have the what does not have padlock like before. You now took the padlock and padlocked it and padlocked the gates. They are not able to get there at all. But when you calm down, you're able to regulate yourself. That is why co-regulation is important at this stage. They are also able to come back and go back to the upstairs brain. All right. So I'm just going to be touching bases briefly because of time. Then 12 to 14 years, there is identity and emotions. This stage is very critical. Puberty changes the brain dramatically. The hormones that starts running, that becomes effective, that becomes initiated, activated, that's the right word, activated during puberty, changes the brain. So this is the most misunderstood stages. Many parents interpret developmental changes as rebellion. But what do you expect? You expect that your child at this stage will have strong opinions. They will have their opinions. They will have increased independence. They have desire for privacy. They have greater abstract thinking and identity exploration. they are still developing impulse control, long-term thinking, emotional regulation, risk assessment. So you can see your child, you can say, you are supposed to be able to discern your teenager. This is not safe for you. You're supposed to be able to know that this is not safe for you. Can't you see that there is danger here? Your child is still developing the ability to risk assess. You're still going to be training them along that path, okay? So you expect them sometimes to there could be mood swings, there could be arguing, they could be arguing with you at this stage. Teenagers argue. If you have gone through that stage before, I'm sure you're going to agree with me. Definitely, you have gone through that stage already. So you know there was a time in point that you were arguing. Even if you cannot say it out, you were arguing in your mind if you are not able to say it out. All right. So at this stage, you see some teenagers pulling away from their parents, sensitivity to embarrassment. So you cannot embarrass a teenager at this age. You cannot shame them. You cannot embarrass them in the presence of their children, of their peers. That is not something that will resonate with them at that stage. They are not learning that way. Okay. So when a teenager says, leave me alone, it doesn't mean I don't need you. It often means I'm trying to figure out who I am. Or now, at age 15 to 18, there is judgment and future taking. The brain focus is judgment and future taking. The brain becomes more sophisticated, but it is still unfinished. Don't say that, yes, my 18-year-old does not need me again. Your 18-year-old still needs you. Still needs a little bit of your input. Though you are not forcing your will on them. You are not forcing your wish on them. Okay. We believe that from childhood up to that age, you have taught them things, you have guided them. Okay. But then they still need a little bit of your advice. All right. Not that you pull out completely and say, yes, you can do life on your own now. No, they still need a bit of advice, a bit of advice and counsel from you as a coach at that period of time. All right. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to summarize this, but then I'm going to do a quick summary, okay? Because of the time, I don't want to overload us too much. Reflection moment. Now, I want you to think about a behavior that regularly frustrates you. Think about it. A behavior that regularly frustrates you. There is something that your child does that usually eats you to the bone. Okay. Now ask yourself, from everything that you have learned now, is this behavior primarily a character issue? Or could it be a developmental skill that is still under construction? I'll repeat. Think about a behavior that regularly frustrates you in your child. Okay. And then ask yourself, is this behavior primarily a character issue, or could it be a developmental skill that is still under construction? This question every time. If you can write it down, I will even like you to write it down. Write it somewhere. When your child is acting in a way, you should ask yourself, is this behavior primarily, is it a character issue here, or is it that my child is still trying to develop a skill? The developmental skill has not been fine-tuned. Okay. So this can help you transform the way you respond to your child. It helps us. I'm not saying that, like I said earlier, I keep emphasizing that it does not stop us from correcting, from doing the right thing. It just helps us to respond appropriately, to extend grace, to stay back before we slap. I think it will take a lot of us from slapping. Some of us, we have our hands very fast. We smack, we slap, quickly. All right. But when you think first, like you take a moment to pause and say, this thing that this child just did, is it a developmental skill? Is it a character issue? Is it something that, I expect that my child should have learned this and I don't learn it? Or is it that his brain is still under construction, developmental construction? So it will help us to respond appropriately. So now let's talk about building brains through everyday interaction, and I'm going to be wrapping up at this place. Building brains through everyday interaction. The big question is, how do I now help my child's brain to develop? We've talked about all these things like, oh yes, your child the brain is still under development, but like a physical development, like physical growth and development, you don't just watch your child. You don't just watch them and say, oh, my child will grow when he's supposed to grow. You feed them, you nurture them, okay? You help them with exercise. When it's time for your child to sit down, you expect that, okay, my child is supposed to sit at a particular at the particular time. But then you start helping them. You start with what? Sitting with support. You guard them. You control them. Okay. You help them. You don't just leave them and expect that your child one day will wake up. There are some things that you do. Okay. The same thing with your child's brain development. There are things that you need to do to help your child's brain to develop. All right. By now, I expect that we understand what that the brain develops. Everybody will agree with me. I don't think nobody on this call will say that the brain. Everybody, let me put it this way. I believe that everybody on this call at this point we agree with me that the brain develops over time. We have said it a lot. Okay, we understand that many behaviors that are connected to immature brain. We understand that many of the behaviors that our children are exhibiting, they are connected to immature brain functions. I hope majority on this call will agree with me. So this naturally raises important question. If my child's brain is still developing, then what is my role? Do I just simply wait? Do I just assume that they will catch up? Do I correct more? Do I discipline other? Those are some of the things that run through our mind, right? Okay, so we are going to be talking about them. Building brain through everyday parenting. Number one thing that I think we need to be doing every day. I'm just going to list them. Connection. Number one is connection. Connection builds emotional security. It secures relationship and it builds stable brain. Before you can correct your child, before there is this book that my mentor used to emphasize, that's the word, you connect before you correct. Connection is very, very important. Before children can regulate themselves, they need to first feel safe. So connection is not a luxury. It's not a luxury. It's not something that you just luxury is not something that you get all the time. All right, it's not something that you get all the time. That is luxury. So connection is not a luxury. It is a developmental need. You need to connect with your children. As a parent, you need to comfort them. You need to listen. The need for connection comes when you're talking to your child. Sometimes I don't know if it happens to you, but it happens to me when they are talking to me and I'm not looking at. They will turn my face and be like, "Mommy, I'm talking to you," because I've not looked. I've not. They don't feel the connection. They don't feel like this thing that I'm saying is not entry yet. You're not giving me attention. Okay, so they expect you to comfort when the comfort, to listen, to reassure. All right, it's not the case of your child falls down and you will say, "Oh, teti da fun e, Ọlọ́run mú ẹ." Sorry, permitting that I'm speaking in Yoruba. Not everybody understands. Okay, and that hey, good for you. Good for you that happened to you. No, there's a need for you to reassure. Your child should be able to come to you when they make mistake. It is connection that allows that. If you don't connect with your child, when they make mistake, they take it out, and it affects. You see the effects most when your child grows up to the teenage level. So if you still have young children here, no matter the age of your child self, please try to bridge the connection gap. Connect with them. Create time to talk to your child. If you have not been doing it, respond to them consistently. Your child's nervous system learns safety when you connect with them. And safety is the foundation of learning. A child that does not feel safe cannot learn. Remember the downstairs brains. Safety are the foundation. The downstairs brains are like those foundations that you build other things on. Learning is on the topmost floor. Okay, but sorry, permit me. I don't know why Yoruba is sleeping in now. It's at the topmost floor. Learning is one of the functions of the upstairs brain. So if your child does not feel safe, your child is not able to learn. Honestly, your child is not able to learn appropriately. So that is why we see some of these learning difficulties, learning issues in children now. In children, it could be the fact that the foundation is not right. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is build emotion regulation skills. That is very important for your child, for you and for your child, because like I said when we're talking about yourself, when we're talking about motherhood, we said we cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're not able to regulate yourself, you're not able to teach it. Remember that we emphasize that we co-regulate. Your child depends on you to regulate their emotion, so you need to build it yourself, and then you're able to help your child. You can help them name their emotions, build their vocabularies. You're angry, you're sad, you're frustrated, I'm disappointed. Build those vocabularies. And then when you're feeling it, you're able to say it too. When your child is, I used to say it, when they are bugging me, and like I'll be like, oh, I feel frustrated right now. So they know those words. Oh, my one of my son, the one that is very sensitive, he knows, he gets that part a lot. When I say that word, when I say those things like that, he'll be like, oh, he understands the fact that, oh, we have gotten mommy to the highest level, So he cautions himself. But then that's not only what it does, it also helps your child to build their emotional regulation skills. They can say it out. Oh, I feel frustrated. I feel angry. They're able to say it out. All right. So you help them to name those emotions, name it to tame it. Children cannot regulate emotion they don't understand. When they don't know how to feel, they don't know how to express it. All right. That is what we see in children that are on the spectrum. It is very difficult. It is challenging, let me put it like that. It is challenging to help them to regulate their emotions, because it is challenging to help them to identify or understand their emotion. Okay, the major work for those children is how to express their emotions, how to say, okay, this is what I am feeling. Okay, so they use different tactics, different skills, even helpful for children that are not on the spectrum. You can say, okay, draw how you feel. How do you feel? And you see a child drawing. I've seen that children drawing, you know draw rigorously. Gave him a pen, and it was just in a way to express himself. He was just drawing, making a vigorous line, and everything was almost painted black with the color of the pen. And he said, oh, you must be very angry. Those are things. Help your child to express their emotion. It is very important. Instead of saying, stop crying, keep quiet, oh, it's okay, stop crying. You can help them to name it. Oh, you are disappointed. Oh, I see you are angry. If I were the one, I would feel that way too. Oh, that was hard. Give your child language. Give them the language to express themselves. It goes a long way. Okay, so when your child is the language helps your child to organize their emotion, and when the emotions are organized, they are manageable. So another thing I'm going to talk about, the next one, number 3, is play. Oh, play builds children's thinking. Allow your children to play. Create time for play. Create an environment for play in your home. Okay, it's not every time that you'll be saying, no, come there, stop that. Create a room, a section for play, where they put their toys, few toys, and of course they're able to pack it back. So create play. Build an environment where your children can play. It helps them a lot. Play builds thinking. It helps the brain to work. Children learn by playing. Okay, so if you want to control what your children is learning, what your child is learning, look for how to incorporate play into it. What your child is learning, look for how to incorporate play into their learning, how to make learning fun for them. All right, play builds creativity, planning, flexibility, problem solving skill. Play is one of the most powerful tools for brain growth. Play is one of the most powerful tools for brain growth. So don't stop children from playing. Don't restrict them. Okay? Don't stop them from playing. Help them to organize their play. Help them to create environments where they are able to build a play a structure around play that can build their creativity. Okay? Just think around what you can do. Building Legos, giving them puzzle, giving them things, even jumping, areas to jump. There is a time for outdoor play where your children need to go outside, play, jump, hop and down. All those things is entering in, it's helping their brain to develop. It's helping their brain to build social skills, flexibility, resilience. Those are some of the things that they build. Going for sports, all those things. It's helping their brain a lot, in a lot of ways that we cannot see physically. Through play, children practice life. So take home with you that play is one of the most powerful tools for brain growth. So when you are thinking about your child's environment, think about, how can I build a play structure for my child? All right. So next thing, boundaries. Boundaries is very important. Boundaries build self-control. Our first speaker talked about boundaries. Like, our children understand that this is my time. The child should understand boundaries. Okay, personal boundaries. Boundaries for you. Know that, oh, you cannot speak to me in a way like this. No, that tone is disrespectful. We don't talk like that in this home. Okay, your child should understand boundaries. You don't just leave them. Children do not develop self-control without practicing limits. If you want your child to understand self-control, let there be limits. Okay, and it boils down with your family values. What are the things that you have set around as your values for yourself, for your family, that you run your family by? Okay, you're able to use your family value to create a structure of boundaries for your children. You don't just allow children to just talk anyhow, eat anyhow, play anyhow. Or, you know it's not like doing things anyhow. There should be boundaries that should be in place. Okay, every time a child hears, wait, stop, line up. Oh, my child, don't let me go into that because I don't want to talk about too long stories. I would have loved to give us examples. But anytime your child hears, wait, stop, not now, try again, their brain practices impulse control. I used to try something for my kids. I'm just going to give an example. Like I tell them that in church, I tell them that that's one thing. Like, it's not when they give you something, you start eating immediately. It's not because I don't want them to eat it. I don't collect it from them to eat. They eventually take it. But it's just for them to understand delayed gratification. That's what I'm trying to achieve. And it's something that we have done over time. Now my children knows that when they give them snacks, you don't eat it immediately. You keep it. You wait. There's a waiting period. It's not like, oh, I want it now. I want it now. It's because some people did not learn self control as children, as a child. That is why they cannot control themselves as adults. You see, people committing sexual assaults. All these addictive habits, most of them boils out of lack of self-control. All right, so it is very important for us to put boundaries in place to help our children learn self-control. Boundaries strengthen the prefrontal cortex. Boundary does not damage your child. When you say no to your child, not now, it does not damage your child. That your child cries because they will cry, yes, they will react, but that is not a bad thing. Okay, you are training them for life. Let me put it that way. Boundaries don't damage children, it organize them. So let me move on to love. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'd say love without boundaries. I put it this way. Love without boundaries creates confusion. When you love your child, you say you love your child, but there is no boundaries. They don't know when to stop. The child is confusion. The child needs that guidance. The children, even teenagers, they used to say it. They need the guidance. They need it. They need you to stop them. Some people, when they've gone wayward, some teenagers, when they've gone wayward, and then they are now reflecting, they'll be like, but then my parents did not stop me. I needed my parents to stop me. I needed my parents to put a control on it. Okay. So love without boundaries creates confusion. Boundaries without connection create fear. That is why we need to start with connection first. Before you start putting boundaries in place, I started with connection. You need to have connected with your child, okay? The connection is very important. So healthy parenting needs both connection and structure. There's supposed to be connection and structure. Wants and limits. Yes, you connect, you warm up with your child, but there's supposed to be boundaries in place, and that is what creates balance. All right, so the next one I'm talk about is resilience. I'm just going to touch briefly resilience. Healthy struggles build resilience. Don't rescue them quickly. All right, don't be so quick to rescue your children. Allow them to do things for themselves. Allow them to struggle. Not every struggle needs to be removed. Allow them to struggle. Allow them to do things for themselves. Struggle builds strength. It's not, oh, you child is finding it difficult and then you jump. Oh, mommy, I cannot do this homework. You start doing their homework for them. So parents will do their homework completely for them. No, you are not helping your child to build resilience. Your child is trying to navigate an obstacle, and you jump and you carry them. No, sometimes you leave them. Allow them, as long as they are not in danger. Allow them to find their way. Allow them to navigate. Okay, it helps to build resilience. I'm not going to dwell too much on that. And I want to talk about persistence, consistency. All these things that we have learned a lot. Consistency is a key thing. All right, there is something that we used to say. We used to say it very well. My mentor used to say it, and I say it a lot. In fact, I wrote it on my children. We wrote it like it's a slogan in our home that we wrote on our wall, on their door frame. We finish what we start. We don't start something and stop it halfway. We finish what we start. Okay. It helps them to build a problem-solving skill, confidence in themselves. All right, they're able to tolerate. They're able to endure. It helps them to be able to endure. Okay. Still talking about resilience. That point was under resilience, and then consistency. The final thing that I want to talk about consistency. The brain goes through continuous use. continuous use. What is practice gets strengthened. It's not that you want to establish an habit and you stop halfway. You do it today, you don't do it tomorrow. No, it has to be something that should be done consistently. Repetition makes something an habit. That is how the brain connects. That is how the brain form an habit. The way the brain works, there are neurons. There are neurons that are being wired when things happen. They are being fired. I mean, the neurons are being fired when we are experiencing things. So once you experience something and you experience it again, your brain is able to connect the dots to say, okay, this happened sometime. It's able to connect the dots. It happens again, it will connect that dot. It happens again, it connects that dot. Before you know it, it becomes strengthened. It becomes strengthened, and then it becomes a permanent something that you start doing effortlessly. You have helped your child to build it effortlessly because you have done it over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so consistency is very, very important. Your brain builds connection through repetition. Every experience strengthens pathway. When children repeatedly experience what your child repeatedly experience becomes wired into them. Repeated experience of safety builds security. Repeated experience of calm builds regulation. Repeated experience of connection will build trust. Repeated experience of problem solving will build thinking. And repeated experience of boundaries will build self-control. My conclusion: children are not just growing bodies, they are building brain. They are not just, it's not like you are not just seeing them physically like this. They are building brains. Behavior is communication. Okay. As we bring together, as we bring this all together, there is one shift I want every parent to live with. Okay. That is one shift that I want every parent to live with. That children, your child is not just a growing body. Your child is a building brain. And everyday interaction, what you do daily shape the brain of your child. The way you connect with them, the way you respond to your child, the way you set your boundaries, all those things help to connect with your child. So when you see a child behavior, the question should no longer be, how do I stop this behavior? The better question is, what is my child's brain learning in this moment? Or you need to ask yourself, what skill do my child need to learn this behavior? I'll repeat. When you see any changes, when any misbehavior in your child, the question should no longer be, how do I stop this behavior? The better question is, what is my child's brain learning at this moment? Or what skill do my child need to learn with this behavior? It helps you to respond appropriately. If you're seeing it from the angle of, I want to help my child develop a skill, it will shift you from punishing. It helps you to teach appropriately. So if you are going to do the teaching as a parent, then you yourself, you need to be equipped. Okay, so the question is, are you equipped? Thank you for listening. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I've done a lot of talking. I was really rushing up because of our time. So are we still here? Do we have anybody that have questions? What have you taken home? Yes. Okay. I'm trying to look at some of our reactions. Please, let's drop our reactions. Yeah. Every child has his, okay, I'm seeing feedback. The child responds with okay. Every child has his individuality under control. For opportunity to listen to this again. Okay. Okay. Someone said opportunity. All right, we might be able to send. I hope everybody on this call is on the group page. This session is recorded. We're able to send the recording on the page. I'll see how to go about that. Okay, so that we can have access to listen to it again. Does anybody have any question before? Any question, anything that you want us to touch on before we wrap up this session? And thank you so much for your patience. Thank you everyone so much for your patience. Yeah, this is wonderful. Yes, thank you. Thank you too. I'm seeing feedback. Thank you too. Love without boundaries brings confusion. Yeah, thank you so much. Is there anybody else that wants to share anything that resonates with them? Okay, we can keep dropping it. Okay, I hope you're picking something. I want us to really share what you're picking, what you have picked. Yes, the slide is going to be available. I'm going to share the slide. I'm going to share the slide so that we can go through it. Yes, I'm going to share this slide on the page. I hope everybody here is on the page. Thank you so much. All right, please let us share what you're picking from this, what you're taking home from this session. Share with us what you have learned. I want us to please send our feedback, especially on the group too, so that we can encourage other people to know that yes, there's something to be picked from this session. Thank you once again. And if you have any further questions, please, we can drop them in the group. I know we have spent a number of hours on the call today. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting to listen. And I want to announce that the summit still continues. It's not ending today. This is just a start. All right. Tomorrow we are going to be having time for open question and answer. Questions and answer. We are going to be having experts, different experts, panelists that will be talking about childhood development. I see people come to my DM a lot to ask questions around developmental issues. A lot of people come to my DM to ask about questions around developmental issues. That is why I took time to say for this year's summit, we are going to be talking about developmental issue. One of our experts is a consultant neurologist. She's going to be on the call. So if you know anyone that is in that shoe, or if you're in that shoe, make sure that you join the summit tomorrow. We're going to be talking about trauma, um, childhood trauma, infant issues around your infant mental health, children mental health. Those are things that we are going to be talking about. There are specialists that are coming. So if you know that you have issues around speech delay, delay development, communication, whatever issues, please let's come together on the call tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. tomorrow. We are going to be starting 5 p.m. tomorrow by God's grace. And I cannot wait to see you there. I'm really looking forward to see you there. And I hope that you people, everybody that is on the call today, got value for their time. Thank you so much once again for joining in. Thank you so much for committing to this, committing your time to this. And I hope that it's going to, I believe that you're taking home something that you're going to start implementing in your parenting, in your motherhood journey, and even in your personal journey as a mother. Thank you so much once again, and see you tomorrow. Same time tomorrow and same time on Sunday. I remain your host. Let me love up on myself. I remain your humble host, Lover Idris. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yes, the slide is going to be made available on the group page. We are going to try to get the recordings available to us on the group page. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for staying on the call. Good night, everyone. Let's meditate on what we have learned. Let's meditate on it. Let's reflect on it. Let's speak lessons. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Good night. If you still want to stay on the call, you can enjoy my music. You can enjoy my music when I say good night. I'm going to see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Thank you. Thank you. Please let's drop our comments in the group, on the WhatsApp page. Let's drop our comments on the WhatsApp page. It will serve as an encouragement for those that did not join. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Good night.